Hi, my name is KT with MCS, and today I have a video for you on the PTR. I'm going to show you how to take the PTR apart and then put together and also do a trigger adjustment. Alright, let's get to it. So first thing, before you do anything, you got to make sure you pull back the charging handle, depress the pin, pull it out, and open it up. When you do open it up, make sure you push your takedown pin there. That's to prevent your javelin bolt from falling out. If it's hit the floor, you might damage it. So that, get out of the way. Get your upper, and then from here, take out your mag wall. Press the pin. Sometimes this pin can be tough, so you can get something plastic. A mallet would do. Knock it out, and then pull it out. This is your anti-ball trap. Stick it back in there as well, so you don't lose it. And then pull out your safety pin or locking pin. This thing is tight today. If it's tight, you can actually use something to knock it out so it doesn't fall apart. There you go. Previously, we made a version with the little push button. We kind of took that out. It kind of just should be coming in and going out. The screw right here might come loose and that might cause it to get stuck, but normally you should be able to kind of pull right out just like that. And take out your spring. And then we're going to take that trigger frame. I'm sorry, pistol grip. This is a long screw, so it's going to take a little bit of effort here to get it out. Alright, so make sure you don't lose your washer here, and then your screw, and then your grip. Be careful not to lose your safety detent spring, and then your safety detent. Let me put this to the side here. And then now you can take off your safety. It comes right out, and then you can take out your striker. This is new, and the striker can come out easy, but sometimes it gets old. You have to kind of use something soft to knock it out. All right, now we're going to take out the valve. This is a complete tear down of your PTR here. I'll show it from this side. Alright, this is a pin to hold together, and then the valve cover, and then your poppet and spring. Alright, now we're going to take out the triggers and then the sear. Trigger. Alright, that's the pin that holds the trigger in place. This is a tiny screw in the front right here. You're going to use a 1/16 wrench to take it out. Actually, you don't have to take it out. You kind of loosen it out, and you can pull out your trigger. Before that, you gotta open up your trigger guard there. Okay. And then now we're going to take out the sear. Wow, there's a flyer. All right, that's your sear. And there's a tiny spring inside to hold the sear in place. You use a 2mm wrench. Take that out. And then this is the spring that you adjust your trigger weight, okay? So the deeper that you tighten the screw down, the heavier your trigger pull will be. Right, that's pretty much it. The only thing that's left inside here is the brass valve, and we can push it out using like a pen or something. All right. So you can see that every single part, almost every single part is removed. The only thing that's left is this pin right here, which just kind of hold the valve in place. You don't have to do anything on it. Pretty much permanent. And then the back, you have this ASA pin right here that kind of pressed in. You don't have to do anything to it. And your trigger guard that just pressed in, so you don't have to do anything. Other than that, I mean, this whole thing right now, it's completely disassembled. I'm gonna show you two area of leak that might potential that can cause a leak for you, something to pay attention to. In the past, you can see these holes right here. This is where the air plug that we use to fill it up with set screws in there. We used to have a leak, but now it's almost 100% sealed. We're using a steel ball now, so it's the leak almost eliminated 100%. So potential leak location is this right here. It's just this valve, the two polyurethane O-ring in there, so it's almost never leak. I mean, rarely that it leaks. I've seen it leaks when people use the wrong type of lubrication. They put petroleum-based oil in there, and the O-ring just get destroyed. That's the only time when I've seen this O-ring get messed up. Other than that, I've almost never seen it get messed up. The second leaking location is this right here. This is called a poppet valve, and it's engaged into your brass valve. So when you do a firing cycle, the striker hit to the front, and then air temporarily move into the valve, and then that's when you get that pressure to do a shot. When this part does leak, what you do is you can hear the air come out of the barrel, or you can hear the air come out from here. So I'm gonna put it back together. So the first thing you do is you kind of put this this valve in, the flat end facing in. So kind of put it in so you can see how everything goes. Okay. This is a complete R&R. Make sure the holes face to the top. Put your back in. Then put your pin. That's it. That's the valve. And when it does leak, you can put your finger here and you can feel the air coming out, and you can hear it. That's the only two potential locations where this system can leak. So it's pretty darn solid when it comes to sealing air. All right, let's gonna put the trigger system back in there, and then we'll do some adjustment to it. Actually, one part we didn't pull out earlier is the trigger assembly itself that we did pull out earlier. It's inside, because earlier when we pull out the pin, we could have taken it out, but we left it in there. Let's see here. Wow, it's kind of stuck in there. Okay, here we go. All right, that's all it is. You can see that earlier we couldn't get it out because the kind of spring kind of gets stuck into the wedge in, so I kind of depress it and it pull it out. So this is how it looks like. This is the part that engage. This is your disconnector right here, and this is the part that engage onto your sear right here. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to put this together and then do some adjustment, okay? So first start putting the trigger chassis in. Start with the spring facing out like this. It goes right in here. All right, make sure the hole is aligned, and then put your trigger in, and then put the pin in. All right, that's it, just knock it in. And then use your 1/16 wrench. See how you put it in, it's kind of loose right now, it has a lot of play. So just tighten it up, just until it stops. and then it's kind of, that play kind of go away, and now you can actually put a trigger. All right, next we're going to do is we're going to put in the trigger sear. Just drop into the hole, into the assembly here, and then make sure the pin is going to be aligned with this hole here. There you go. And then put your pin in. All right, now we're gonna put in the spring, the trigger spring. For the adjustment, there are, what is this? Now you can actually pull the trigger, and then we're gonna do some adjustment to it. And for adjustment wise, there are 3 screws inside your lower for adjustment. That's 1, 2, and then 3. Those are the 3 adjustment screws. Let me show you the old system here, and we do a cutout here for you so you can see how the trigger system works. That way you have a clear picture of what you're looking at. So first, what you have is you have the sear right here. This is the sear that's gonna catch your striker back, right? When you pull the trigger, see that right there? That will engage onto the sear, and then we're gonna let that release your striker. Right now the adjustment is a little bit high, so it's not gonna let you release the striker because it's too high. See how when you pull the trigger there, it's not really hitting it, it's barely hitting it, so that's too far, and it's not gonna let you push that forward, not that freely. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust this down. So you can see how I'm gonna turn this, see how it turned down a little bit there. Now the engagement right here is kind of reduced, and you can hear that there's a lot more movement. Right, so now we're gonna try it again. You pull the trigger forward. So I got stuck there, pull the trigger, and release the striker. So as you adjust this, so you see how the take up right here, there's a certain amount of take up from here to here. You pull that before it hits the sear there. So you can adjust the sear down. Now almost see that the take up not being reduced. You pull the trigger, it opens. There you go. So that adjustment that we have to do. So normally what we're gonna do is I'm gonna simulate what we're gonna do in there. Okay. So right now you really have a really the uptake is really tiny. There's almost none. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open it up. We're gonna do maximum uptake. See this right here? So we're gonna do maximum. There's no holding back. See the huge amount of gap right there? So even when you pull the trigger, it's not touching each other, and it's not holding this up. So that's a maximum you can go. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back out slowly until it barely touched that, and then we're gonna lock it in. And as time wears out, as everything kicks in and everything breaks in, the sear will go down slower and lower and lower, and then your shot will get better and better. But at the beginning, you want to adjust as high as possible, so that way it has room to wear in, so your trigger gets better after you shoot it. Right, so that's how you adjust it. And if you want to shoot really reduce that uptake, so that way you have a better trigger pull, you can actually adjust that. Right, so that's how you do it on an old system, and this is the reason why that the PTR didn't get released, because of that. The adjustment get out of alignment pretty easily. So that's why we have to change the system. We machine out the hole at the bottom here, allow us to use 3 set screws, and it's a hole in there a lot better than having the adjustment on the top. All right, so let's put this thing together. So I'm gonna put my striker in. Let me do the adjustment first, then we'll put it probably easier. All right, so we're gonna put this adjustment in auto way, so that way it doesn't hold off the striker at all. So you can put the striker in, and if you want to put that in before this step, you can actually put it in, and you can use a wrench or something to depress the sear back, and you can pull it out. All right, so see how it goes right out. It goes right in, and then I can put in my my springs. And if you were to pull this the striker back, right, there's nothing holding it back. All right. Because the sear has not, because we went too far above into the, went too far, and that means the sear actually goes down. It's not engaging into the striker at all. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn it, release it slowly until it catches. Okay, so it went too far. That's already catching it. So I'm gonna pull it back right here, and then I'm gonna turn it in clockwise until that striker is released. Okay, so now that's pretty much almost the highest point that we can get. I'm gonna back it out to like an 1/8 a turn, just a little bit there, and then let's see if it still catches. Okay, perfect. So I can check right now. You can check the trigger uptake right now. See how much it is. See that? That's a lot of uptake, right? So that's kind of what our adjustment again. So we're gonna back it up just a little bit to get that lock in. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna back it up just a little bit more until we get that that lock. Okay, so now we know that it's almost the peak of it. You can see the uptake that we have. That's a lot of uptake, right? But still, it's still too far. So we're gonna back it up just a little bit more. Okay. All right, you can see that I have some uptake right here. And of course, you can back it out to a point where, let me just show here. See, right now there's very little uptake. And you can go to a point where it has 0 uptake, but the chances that if once everything wired in, it go below that. Watch, I'm gonna go, right now it's almost no uptake, right? So we can pull the trigger, it fires. And if you go too far, to a point where you lose engagement completely, like we did earlier on the cutout. I'm gonna show you here how when it goes too far, and then you can lose the engagement. I'm gonna show you really quick here. See how you go too far, and now when you pull the trigger, it doesn't release the striker because the engagement went too far. So let me show you on this one here, so you can see how it's like. So what happened is when you adjust it too far, it goes below. So you go below your trigger. Sear is below the striker. I'm sorry, below the sear. See that right there? Below. Therefore, when you pull the trigger, nothing happens. So your sear, it has to be above it. So when you adjust, you can hear. When you turn it down, see that? The click. Now the sear is above the trigger. One more time, okay? See that? Look at this break point right there. This is when you look at the break point. You can actually see this break point from the top if you remove out the striker. Alright, gonna adjust a little bit so you can see there's a gap. There's a parent gap. See the parent gap right there? Pull the trigger. Break. Break. That's the part you're looking at. Alright, so we're gonna adjust this back to we're gonna turn this until it releases. Right now it's way below, so we're gonna turn the adjustment screw until it releases the striker so it can have reset point. Alright, so now that's the highest point it can possibly have. And it doesn't even hold back the striker. Alright, so we're going to turn it back in. So we're going to back it out actually to see at the point where it start catching it. Okay. All right. Now we're going to back it up a little bit to see where it is at. All right, so now it's a higher point at the moment. We're going to go in a little bit, and then I think we're going to set adjustment there. Okay. All right, so that's our adjustment. Right now it's pretty solid. I would say a little bit high at the moment. I'm gonna back it out a little bit. You can tell how much by all right, by pulling the trigger. So one more time. So the steps kind of, I know this process is quite confusing, but the idea is that the first step that you do is you want to go in, pull, back this out, back your screw out until you get into the striker. That's step one, right? Step one, back this out until the striker can lock in, and then step two, turn in slowly until it releases it. Okay, that's it. So now what you do is you want to then release it, barely releasing it. So what you want to do is you want to back out slowly, back out just a little bit, pull on the handle. So now you can see that it's barely locking in, barely holding on. Okay. All right, back out a little bit more until it catches, the trigger catches, and you can release it like that. Okay, when it barely do it. All right, when it does happen, and that's pretty much your highest point setting, and you want to back it out just a little bit. So like about 1/8 of a turn. So right now it's good. So you're going to go 1/8. All right, and then what you do is you're gonna make sure your setting's still good. Okay, sometimes you'll pull the trigger, it doesn't release it, that because your striker is not straight. It has to be straight for the trigger to release it. That's why you hear kind of click, click, click. It didn't want to release it because the striker is not straight. All right, now that's done. You can put in your screws, your other set screw now. You turn it in until you feel that it stops. That's it. Second one in. The third one in. That was the second, this is the third, until it stops. This last one will tighten everything up. If you want to put a dab of Loctite or some thread lock in there, you can, but it's not really necessary. We do put it in when we assemble it. So when it stops, you just kind of tighten it up. Now it's all 3 set screws are locked together. So you can test it, making sure that your setting is good before you put everything back together. You pull it back and then pull the trigger. See that how it release it. You can see it. Once you have it together, you can actually check your uptake to see if you're liking. You can actually, depends on how you like your trigger pull. You can have a lot of uptake where you see that little space here that you have before it fires, or you can adjust it where there's no uptake. Keep in mind, if you have no uptake, once things break in, it might get out of adjustment. You have to adjust again. And if you are adjusting with some uptake, it's actually when it wired in, you can actually have some break-in, as your trigger wears in, the trigger gets better. See how right now, let me go back a little bit here. So see this right here, assuming you have some uptake right now, and it breaks and it shoots. So as things broken in, your trigger go down slowly until it hits right there. So as you shoot it, your trigger system will get better. All right. So you can actually do the adjustment with your air, and you can adjust that while you shoot it. That way you get a feel how the trigger, how it's shot. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you have your safety locking pin into the body to do that. Okay, if you don't, you're going to break either the body or the velocity housing itself. Then put your air tank in. Make sure nothing gets near this air port. When you fire it off, of course, air will try to get out, and if you have this point at a person, they may get hurt, or point as an object, it might blow it out of the way. So you can see that you can fire it off, it cycles. It doesn't let go because your striker is not straight. It has to be straight for it to fire. Okay, keep that in mind. That's not the striker or the trigger system, but this alignment has to be straight. If it's off a little bit, you have to pull the trigger a couple times before it release it. If you want to solve that, you kind of make sure it's straight and before you can fire it off. Okay, so like I said, it's got to be straight. Like I said, you can adjust that as you pull the trigger, and that might be good for some people, so that way you can get a feel of how the unit cycle. Also, the spring and everything in place, it's compact. It gives pressure to it, so your adjustment, it's a little bit more precise when you have the air and then actually shooting it. I don't recommend it. You want to practice a couple times without air first to get good at it before you kind of put an air tank in. Otherwise, you're gonna run out of air and you can't adjust it properly. But that's how you adjust your trigger system. I'm gonna put the rest of the part together. So you get your safety. It's not straight, that's why. So if it's not straight, you can actually, if your striker is not center, the round part of it, I'm gonna show you really quick here so you can see. If you see how your striker, the flat area there, if you have this in a wrong, not center, you can't put it in because it's kind of it prevent that round part, the safety from going in. So make sure it's fully in the center. Okay, and then you have your safety detent, and the spring is already inside here, so you kind of just put together. Let's pinch it in. So how some spring can be a little bit longer than the other, or how the depth of that spring hole is, you can adjust your safety, how much you want it soft, you can cut up the spring a little bit. If you want it tight, you can keep it original, but you can just kind of set based on your liking. All right, And now put your screw in. This is the washer. If there's a washer that comes with your pistol grip, make sure that you use it, because if you don't, you may cause your screw to embed onto your trigger pistol grip there. Right, so you put in like this, and then I usually kind of put my wrench in and then go in from the bottom and line it up. There's only one way to go in, so just kind of turn it and then slowly tighten it up. All right, and then of course let's put a mag weld together. Put it to the first stage and then drop your anti-bar drop system in. And then you put your body seal. Make sure this is center. It has a little gap right there. Pull your charging handle back a little bit. Goes down, pinch it tight, and then push it through. Lock. Cycle a couple times. Make sure everything's aligned, and then you're pretty much good to go as far as go shooting this. That's how you adjust your trigger system on the PTR. I hope this video helped you make your adjustment on the PTR and get to know more how the system works. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, hit us on Facebook or email us and we'll take care of you. Thank you very much.